up. But what if landowners realize that multiple wells are necessary and ask how many wells in a square mile?
Don't answer that question. You see, wells are most effective if they are spaced 40 acres or further apart. This sounds like a large number. Use it. Most landowners don't realize that 10 to 20 wells can be placed in a square mile. 40 acres is a large enough number that wells seem far enough in their mind. We do not want landowners aware that we may drill many wellheads in a single area. After we have the leases signed, we have the freedom to use the land as we want to.
Well, there was a case where the landowner brought the lease to an attorney who told her that if the well continues to produce, our lease continues for the lifetime of the well, which can be as high as 40 years, and the extension didn't require her approval. The deal went out the window, but what do we do so that doesn't happen?
True. If we have an active well, then it was within our legal right to continue development until we turn it into oil. So here's the deal. Our leases are for 5 years with small plots of land, or 3 years with an option to renew for 2 years on larger land tracts. Stress the 5-year leases unless absolutely pushed on the details.
It seems that farmers are more concerned with water usage because most residential owners don't know that we pull water directly from their local aquifer. So how do we respond to their concerns of radioactivity? Well, our manual mentions reports that show that fracking and other oil gas exploration techniques increase radioactivity in the groundwater.
Boy, I'll tell you. True. We have an active well that is... Sorry about that. Don't tell them that. Most landowners don't know that. Tell them we are radioactive free. Tell the landowner we use no radioactive materials. That should alleviate their fears if pressed. Tell them that it's natural radiation, baby, that is always there. We don't increase it by adding anything. The overall plan is to drill exploratory wells and then get at the small gas pockets that multiple wellheads then pump in high volume of water and chemicals. Do not discuss this point. If needed, we can even write leases with no fracking positions. And even with these lease modifications, we can legally drill multiple wells and insert high pressure extractants.
Nice. Hey, but what about their property value? Multiple studies have shown that property values decrease for land with oil and gas leases on the property. Some major banks have even stopped issuing mortgages on properties with leases for mineral and oil gas rights, including Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and other large financial institutions.
Avoid this topic. This is a no-win argument. Okay. It backed into the issue, talk about the potential revenues and the overall needs of the nation. Remind them that China bought more oil than the United States last year. Remember the most important part of our overall development plan. What do we want?
Frack 'em!
What do we need?
Close 'em!
That's it. Signed leases allow us to reparcel the land as needed to receive minimum acreage under Ohio law. Even small parcels are important. A resident with a half-acre plot can make the difference with the state oversight board to allow that drilling. The state does not have to allow drilling even if the unit has 65% or more of the acreage. Sometimes the board looks at overall numbers of residents, and if the majority are against drilling, then they reject permits for fear of local backlash. This is an acreage as well as an overall number of people gain.
Last week, Bill Schuman also told me that men are more likely to sign than women. Men don't like to believe that you know more than they do, so they are less likely to ask questions. In the state of Ohio, the husband can sign the lease without spousal permission. So tell them it is their decision and write the lease agreement with only the husband's name on the paperwork. That way, they can sign alone.
Yes, you definitely have a point there. Men are also more conservative and more likely to want oil and energy independence. Women have more concern for the environment and challenge you more often. So knowing who to approach can definitely seal the sale.
That is totally in line with our market analysis in Ohio, you two. So everyone here should know it well. That pretty much ends our training session. On the last page of your handouts, you find 4 last resort incentives if a landowner is undecided. Betsy Sue, would you read number 1, please?
Sure. Number 1, offer a slight increase in the initial lease payment. Even a $50 increase may be enough to sway the decision. Tell the landowner it's to cover the notary public costs. That way you're making a concession without caving and getting into a negotiation. Midwesterners appreciate feeling valued. This will definitely work in your favor.
Great recommendation there. What about number 2, Mike?
Tell the landowners that the neighbors are ready to sign. Even if they're not, that often convinces an undecided landowner to sign. Remember, the first visit is the most crucial. They don't know if their neighbors have signed, and once they have signed, you can show those leases to undecided neighbors for added peer pressure.
Great recommendation there. How about number 3, Mary Bell?
As a very last resort, offer the amended lease with the clause that no slick water hydraulic fracturing is used. This limits our future options, but once we carry out initial drilling and testing, we know the viability of gas extraction from the Utica shale layer. At that time, we can reapproach holders of the modified leases and offer incentives to allow slick water hydraulic fracturing. The most important thing is to obtain the signed lease. Modifications can be made later if necessary.
And Jack, what's that last recommendation?
Number 4, always remember we want no correlation between the fracking process and the enhanced oil recovery processes. So talk only about the enhanced oil recovery process to get the lease signed and also allows us to frack.
So if you follow our training guide, we will be most successful out there. One more time. What do we want?
Frack 'em!
What do we need?
Close 'em!
Thanks and good luck to all of you.
Thank you so much. Give it up for Holy Frack, Frack me, Frack you. With regards to the HDTV, we lied, and so did they.